Missouri Farmers Care, it's made up of 44 organizations, primarily agriculture from rural parts of the state. That's doubled from 22 in the last 2 years. We have some really big members people be familiar with, like Missouri Farm Bureau, MFA Incorporated, all the way down to some local grain elevators across the state. Our purpose is to promote the continued growth of rural Missouri and agriculture through coordinated communication, education, and advocacy. That's actually our mission statement. Well, what led to the formation of Missouri Farmers Care is kind of the ag groups noticed that there's a growing disconnect between the consumer and the producer, and that's why we have a lot of education programs. And what that leads to on the policy side is a lot of misunderstanding between voters in urban and suburban areas and voters in rural areas, and you really saw that divide on the Proposition B vote. And animal rights groups, anti-agriculture groups have kind of exploited this divide to push their agenda and try to leverage that against agriculture. And we're kind of tired of being on defense. We've been on defense multiple times on some of these ballot initiatives. And the idea with Right to Farm is to do something that's positive and proactive that protects us before the problem happens rather than us having to respond to the problem later. Yeah, on the policy side, our big issue right now is the Farming Rights Amendment, also called the Right to Farm Amendment, HJR 7 and 11, which is a referendum that went through the state legislature in this last session, which means voters will actually have the chance to vote on that to put the right to farm in the state constitution next year.
The Right to Farm Act is a constitutional amendment that will be voted on next November at the general election, and it will be an amendment that will give the farmers the right to farm, basically, ensure that is protected by the Constitution of the state of Missouri. Missouri farmers have been under attack from anti-agriculture and animal activist groups over the last few years, basically coming outside of Missouri, coming into the state of Missouri, telling us that, okay, you need to farm a certain way. And it's not anything proven scientifically, it's just their emotional thoughts on how we need to farm. So this was important that we put this together and get this into the Constitution to protect farmers into the future from those type of groups.
What we're trying to do with the Right to Farm Amendment is give agriculture some type of legal basis to go to the state Supreme Court in the future if there's ever a specific act that's outlawed, if there's something that targets an entire sector of agriculture or targets farmers and essentially tries to put them out of business. This gives us a legal basis to go to the courts and say, we have this right to farm and you can't just put an entire industry out of business. That sounds kind of crazy, but we've actually seen that happen in states like Florida and Arizona where hog farming has essentially been ended, and it targeted just a handful of farmers because obviously that's not a big part of the economy in those states, but it's kind of a template that we've seen the animal rights groups use that they would like to move to more ag-heavy states like Missouri.
Well, I think when the farm groups looked at this and the farmers looked at this, we were very much concerned that someone could come in and tell us how to farm. And we're constantly looking at new ways to farm and controlling the soil erosion, and we're taking very good care of our animals. But having someone else come in to tell us to do that may not be the proper way to take care of that animal or to protect our soil. So we feel like we have the ability, have the knowledge, and have the help to do that on our own, and not have outside groups come in to tell us how to farm, and really it could increase the cost of food production with some of these regulations that they want to put in place. When we as row crop farmers, corn, soybean farmers, our number one customer is animal agriculture. That's where our product goes to. Especially in the soybeans, hogs, cattle, poultry all eat soybean meal. So it's very important that we have a strong animal agriculture base in this country to support our industry. And that's one reason that we decided that we in the soybean industry and corn industry needed to get on board on this, because we needed to help those folks out, because we need to protect, not only protect their industry, but it protects all of agriculture. The people that are opposed to this amendment say it's just going to basically help corporate farms, and they can abuse and the soil and the animals any way they want to, but there's over 90% of the production in this country and in this state are from family farms, and we care very much about our farms. I mean, we live on our farms. We drink the water off our farms. So we're very careful about how we take care of our animals and of our land. So I don't believe there's any reason to believe that there would be abuse by anyone, because anyone that raises animals or raises grain has to use the best standards possible, or they will not stay in business.
You know, my honest answer is this is going to help small farmers more than it's going to help corporations, because the thing about the corporations is they have the resources to move their operation to another state or even another country. They have the resources and the legal counsel to fight these kind of things on their own. It's really the average Missouri farmer. You know, the average Missouri farm is about 200 acres. The average cattle herd is, I think, definitely under 50. That's the kind of person that really needs the right to farm. They're the person that needs the legal support. It's not the corporate farms. They just don't need it.
Well, I think the right to farm amendment to the Constitution is going to have a real positive outcome for the consumer, because it does protect the consumer in the grocery aisles as far as the volume of food that's there, because the Missouri farmers are the ones that produce that food. And you know, in these trying economic times, it also prevents some food inflation, because of the fact it does protect Missouri's #1 industry, agriculture. So I think those are a couple of points that are very important when we look at this amendment, because of the protection that does give to the consumer that consumes our food.